The Joker movie. That's right.
Yay.
We're getting this. Mark Maron. He did an interview here, and he spoke about Joaquin Phoenix in this Todd Phillips directed film. He said the approach that Todd Phillips has taken is more of an origin story and character study of a mentally ill person that becomes the Joker. It's more of an intimate and gritty movie with a very specific scope. It's going to be really interesting to see how it comes out. Now, when he was first cast in the film, the rumors had it that he'd be playing the manager of Joaquin Phoenix's failed stand-up comedian character Arthur Fleck, but he said, I didn't really get to talk to Joaquin because he was pretty immersed in the Joker. I was just like, I'm not going to bother that guy. That was fine. You just got to respect people's process. All right, Coy, you hear this. This is such... Does this get you more interested in this movie and this approach by Todd Phillips exploring a mentally ill man who becomes the Joker?
100%, because I was afraid they'd focus on the Joker's origin and we'd be focused on the continuity that I don't want to know.
Right.
When they touch on the comics, I avoid those issues. When they touch it in any medium that tries to tell you who the Joker is failing the Joker. The Joker is a force of nature. The Joker is Jaws. The Joker is literally a thing that cuts through the screen. And if he loses the mystery of that, then you neuter the character. It's sewing Deadpool's mouth shut. So don't do something that neuters the character, the reason we love this thing. So I was worried when I heard everything except for the creative team behind it. When they said Joaquin Phoenix, when we heard who might be producing and all those things, it got me invested. But then to have Mark Maron say it's going to lean into the insanity, that to me shows that we might not get a definitive take. What was so great about Heath Ledger's story was, do you want to know how I got these scars, was not just a catchy line. It was literally him changing his own narrative as we experienced the narrative. The writing in that movie, and obviously his portrayal, is what shaped that Joker more than just the iconic look, more than the laugh. It was such a psychological take on the Joker that this quote, which is like 5 sentences, lends me to think they're going to go that direction. It's going to be a psychological take. It's going to be something that's going to leave us wanting more, leave us thinking as we leave the theater, giving us an option to not have a definitive answer as to who Joaquin was at any point. And we've seen with all the press photos, he's in multiple Joker outfits. We've seen him dress different ways. We've seen him, in plain clothes and in 5 different clown suits. To me, this is the mark of a broken man, and who better to play him than Joaquin puts gum under Letterman's desk Phoenix.
Right. And look, you're wearing the shirt that really was the only time I've ever enjoyed an origin story about the Joker. That's The Killing Joke. And it is a fantastic exploration of, with Barbara Gordon issues aside, it is a fantastic exploration of the possibilities of how a person can become this thing that we know. I mean, my favorite panel is the Joker looking into a reflection of himself and saying it's too late. That's a great panel. Maybe the greatest panel, in my opinion, of any Batman Joker story, because it's that one moment where the Joker becomes aware of himself and the Batman has made him do it and he can't turn back. And that's an awesome moment.
And that moment keeps it from being definitive. That moment keeps it, and that's what I want. I want this movie to be, I want an Aronofsky. I want, a crazy David Lynch experience. I want something that doesn't have a button on it. I want to look in the mirror, not know who I am, and have a journey.
Well, let's go to Dorina, who was originally cast as the Joker. Do we have those those pictures, Adam, of Dorina as there she was originally cast. She had done the makeup tests, but apparently scheduling difficulties arose and Dorina could not, with Collider Live, and she's like, that's my commitment. So she could not do the movie, so they had to get Joaquin. How did you that's a fantastic, how did you do that?
Blame Christian Harloff, right? I had to do Collider Live.
It's a hashtag.
No, as you can see, I dressed up as the Joaquin Phoenix version of the Joker because I'm so excited about this movie. I know a lot of people get sick of these villains that we see over and over again, but I've grown up with this villain. This is one of my favorite comic book characters of all time because of what Coy was talking about, right? Because it's someone that you really don't know what's coming, right? You don't know what they're thinking. Like this character is not just psychotic. There's this darkness within that the reason that we are all kind of mesmerized with him is because we see some of that darkness in ourselves, right? And we understand why he's so frustrated with the world, why he wants to create chaos, And you brought up The Killing Joke, the reason I love that comic and I love the darker, Alan Moore type stuff is because I'm interested in seeing a take where we get to see more of the human psychology of this character, and I think that Heath Ledger did an amazing job, and we've had obviously Mark Hamill as the Batman the Animated Series Joker. There's been great takes on it, but I think you can do a more not serious take, but necessarily, but you can do something that where you do end up analyzing the character's psychosis, right?
Yeah.
More so than anything else. Like I don't need to, it's kind of like on the vein of Logan, right? Where we don't need this big bombastic action comic book movie, and if it's a character driven movie, then I'm all in. And the little bits we've seen has me excited. I mean, that one tiny video of Joaquin and turning into, you know, the Joker makeup and having a what's it called? God, what's that song? Laughing by the Guess Who in the background. I mean, I'm in immediately. Like I'm very excited for this movie. I cannot wait.
And they just released that picture on Instagram, I think a couple days ago, in black and white, of him pushing the VCR. If you notice, if you zoom in, way in the back on the right is a bullet hole in the wall. How did that get there? And so there's little things like that that, like, Todd's doing a nice job with peppering and not drawing attention to it. You got to notice it if you want to notice it. And I think you make a great point here, Dorina. The idea of it has some connection to Logan, and I don't mean obviously in canon. I mean the style, the approach. It's a stripped away, gritty, more realistic approach to the Joker than maybe we've ever seen. Even within the Christopher Nolan films, the Joker is still presented as this unknown entity. This is something more where you're watching the progression of the destruction of a human being mentally into becoming this. Right. And how, I just wonder at the end of the day, is this the way they get away with not tying it into canon by making it seem it's a mentally ill person who becomes this, but is not necessarily this in the overall spectrum of the DCU?
Yeah, and on the mental health angle in general, I just think that, you know, we use that word a lot, and sometimes we use it for tragedies, which, you know, that's another story. But we all deal with certain issues, right? Whether it's depression, anxiety, like whatever it is, like we all deal with our own internal demons, and it's just cool to see characters, whether they're villains or heroes, that you can relate to and that you can see their inner struggle and see what decisions they end up making that define who they end up becoming because of what they were able to deal with these issues or not, you know?
Yeah.